Hi, this is Luann with Rockin Book Reviews, and I'm so happy to be here today with Cheryl DaVeiga. Cheryl, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, how many siblings, favorite activities, and so forth.
Well, hi, Luann. I am so happy to be here on Rockin Book Reviews. And a little bit about me. I grew up in New Jersey, middle child of a chaotic family in New Jersey. But there was always a lot of music in my family. My father was from North Carolina, and he filled the house with country music. And my mother, who was from New Jersey, got the country music bug, and we all did. So I became all about singing and stories in songs and music and harmony and a lot of laughter that somehow got us through the chaos. But so I guess I really didn't learn much about writing music or writing books back then, because my upbringing was more conventional. I was expected to go to college and get a real job with a corporation and make my way, and I did that first.
So how many siblings did you have?
I have one older sister and a younger brother, so I'm a middle girl.
Oh,
Try to find my
we've heard
identity.
about those middle children.
I know. They're always scary. They're always the outrageous ones.
I don't know. I've known a lot of middle children that are awesome. What were your favorite activities to do as a child?
For me, I used to just walk out the door and do cartwheels on the on the lawn, and I would say that singing and music was kind of my thing.
I can relate. Is there a couple of things in your life that's had an impact on who you are today?
Well, I would say that upbringing did, because the music and the humor is really where I come from in so many ways. Even through my business career, that was really part of who I was. And I would say the biggest thing that had an impact on my writing career or songwriting — I am a songwriter and a children's book writer — was the realization through a very spontaneous event with my nephew, Michael, that one could actually write a song. And it just sort of it came about. And let me tell you a little bit about Katie Grace, who was my first animated character played by me, and singer and writer of children's songs. And she came about when I was out long into my career with an accounting firm. Long into that career, I was out with my nephew, Michael, who was 7 years old at the time. And I was looking for something to do with him. So we were going to Michael's to buy arts and crafts. And we're in the back, and he's in the back seat, I'm driving, and he says, "Aunt Cheryl, could you turn on this kids station?" And so I turned it on, and I heard this awful song. And I said, "Michael, we could write a better song than that." And I just still remember looking at him through the rearview mirror with this amazement on and he was like, "We could write a song?" And I thought, well, I'd been writing parody songs up till then, but I never wrote anything with a real melody of my own and everything. But I thought, sure, we could write a song. And he said, well, we went shopping. Then he said, well, what would our song be about? And I said, I don't know, pick something. What would you want it to be about? And he said, I think superheroes. And I said, okay, we'll write a song about superheroes. And I said, now what would they be doing? And he said, well, maybe they're shopping like us. And I said, okay, we got it. Superhero shopping. We ended up writing this song called The Craziest Dream. And it's, they're shopping, and it's, I saw Indiana Jones in aisle 1, running from boulders and aiming his gun. I saw old Darth Vader in aisle 2. And we made this whole Craziest Dream song, and we brought it home and we banged it out on the piano. And I thought that was that. But a friend of mine, who happened to be an intellectual properties lawyer, heard it. He heard Michael singing it. And he said, that's a pretty good song. He said, I have a friend who's a producer in New Jersey, and he owes me a favor. I think you should go down and get that song produced. So I ended up meeting Anthony Kryzan, who is ex-Spin Doctors guitarist and producer, wonderful producer in New Jersey. and my songwriting partner for the last 10 years because we became very close after that. But we brought that song into the studio. I sang it to him from my 8.5 by 11 sheet paper. And he played guitar, banjo, drums, bass, and then he did harmonies and callbacks, and he turned that thing into a song, and it hooked me forevermore. I was hooked. Nothing could stop me from writing songs. And then I took every songwriting class in New York City, and I went to every single workshop there was, and I honed that craft, and it was the stories and melody, and it got me later into thinking, boy, some of this stuff could become books. But started out with children's songs, then it went to adult songs, and then I'm back in the children's world.
And you have written other impressive adult songs that have become famous. Tell us about a few of them.
So the first one, Anthony and I wrote together, and I brought it to him, and it was another synchronistic thing. I had written a song called Spare Change, and it needed some work. And I got word of this ASCAP, the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers. Probably missed a letter there, but they had a contest looking for a song in the spirit of Brother, Can You Spare a Dime from the 1920s. And I had written this song called Spare Change, and I thought, that seems very unlikely. So long story, I'll try to make it short. I ended up bringing it to Anthony and saying, Anthony, we have until like Monday to write this song. And I think it needs some work, but isn't this odd that they want Spare Change? And I've got this song. So we kind of worked on the song, and we had a very tight deadline. And that weekend I had to go up to West Point to visit a friend. And I got this idea when I was in West Point. I kept thinking, like, why do we care about this guy? Why do we care about this guy? I was trying to pull the emotion out of the song. And these cadets are just marching back and forth in front of me. And all of a sudden I said, oh, that's the song. It's not a beggar. It's a veteran who's come home. And then I started Googling. I read this article, and one of the guys said, it feels like home just doesn't feel like home anymore. And I was like, that's it. I came back to Anthony on Monday and I said, it's not Spare Change. And he's like, oh, we got an hour, we got a day to work on this. What is it? I said, it's Home Don't Feel Like Home. And we rewrote the whole thing, and it was this veterans anthem about how it feels to come home. And we got it in just under the deadline, and we ended up winning the ASCAP award and going to Lincoln Center in New York and having Paul Williams. It was really quite a spectacular event. So that was the first one. Then we wrote the bicentennial song for the state of Alabama, which is another synchronistic crazy story that I won't tell, but it ended up being played in the marching band for the governor. The kids played it in the gala that Condoleezza Rice spoke at. It was just a really major thing. We're from New Jersey. We wrote the Alabama song. Right? And
you got the father with the Southern roots.
Yeah, exactly. I do love country a bit. And then the Where Angels Play song, there's an organization in New Jersey that does wonderful work. They're still doing it. They built playgrounds for each of the 21 kids or 26 kids, I can't remember, that were killed in the Sandy Hook shooting. And my friend Maria and I wrote their anthem song, which is called Where Angels Play. And it is a song that hopefully gives hope to parents. It comes from the perspective of the child in heaven and them telling the parent, I'm so much more than okay, not far away where angels play. And I'm really proud of that one because I think that's been played at funerals, and that one has actually impacted lives.
Now that I know the titles, I'm going to look them all up.
Good.
That is so impressive. It's just amazing. And
well, thank you. It was a bunch of synchronistic events, so I'm convinced all of that stuff was somehow meant to happen.
And you've done others for other.
Yeah, I've got 3 songs on this wonderful woman, Erin. She calls herself Erin, E-R-Y-N. She's got a tremendous voice. And I have a song on Anthony Kryzan's album and many more. New Jersey, one of the top 300 New Jersey songs, a song called, the heck is it called? Jersey Style. Anyway, there's so many songs, and then I went to Nashville a bit and wrote out there for a little while. I went back and forth. I lived in New Jersey, but I got an apartment out there, and I got to write on Music Row, and I got to do a lot of really fun things out there.
Oh, how
Then COVID
fantastic.
came, and that sort of was the end of that.
That is awesome. And so when do you find time to write children's books during all this?
Well, now that's what I'm doing. Now I'm all about the
Now
children's
you're
book.
centered here.
Another bug, like my co-writer and friend Dave Gibson out in Nashville, a very famous writer in Nashville. He's written songs for Alabama and Tanya Tucker and just
A lot of the greats.
lots
Yeah.
of #1 hits out there. And I met him through Anthony, and we were writing songs together out there, and we were fooling around. I was showing him some of my Katie Grace stuff. I have a song called The Ice Cream Storm, about trouble in a freezer. And he had a song called The Frog Song about, I used to be a prince and now I'm just a frog. And it was kind of fun. And we kind of were talking about writing, and we said, these things, these kids things, they would really make a wonderful book. And so we started with the ice cream concept, and then we started talking about my characters from the Ice Cream Storm, and we started talking about different words and playing with words, and we got to vanilla, and then we decided vanilla, bully, vanilla, and we all of a sudden we were like, oh, okay, so he's a bully. And then the story kind of wrote itself. First book we wrote together was War at the Ice Cream Store, and it has a song too.
And I loved it.
And you loved it. And we just redesigned that cover and everything.
Okay, before we get into that, let's back up a little bit. You were an accountant. What was your duties?
So I was a partner in one of the largest accounting firms in the country. And I was there for 38 years. And
you don't look old enough to be there for 38 years.
I was, and I did it. Somehow I crawled through that. And when I left, I was actually in our office of general counsel, and I worked for the general counsel of the firm. And I was an accountant who consulted with and gave guidance to the lawyers that would work on cases that we were facing, litigation, investigations, and things that are natural in an accounting firm's life. They were lawyers, but they needed accounting guidance. And so I did that for the last 15 years, kind of preparing people for depositions or investigations and things like that. And that was actually a lot of fun.
I was going to ask, why did you leave? But after 38 years.
I left because of mandatory retirement. I didn't have any choice.
It's a no-brainer there.
But I was ready, Luann. I was ready.
I can imagine, but that's quite a big jump from that to writing children's books.
I know, but the other side of my brain was left dormant for too many years. So it's like a faucet now.
Okay, so you recently rebranded your books. Tell us why you decided to do that and what the difference is.
I'm not sure that it's a big difference, but as you might remember, we had some little puppets that we were working with, and we had done a whole other puppet show thing that was a little bit more adult humor. And we tried to use those puppets, and it got overwhelming when I learned what went into getting a book published and writing a book and then writing the songs and getting the animated songs done and then trying to film puppets doing it. We finally just decided to leave the puppets alone for a while.
But they're so fun.
They were fun, but they're on leave. I'll say that. Puppets are on leave. And we decided to really think about what we were all about. And we are about fun, and we're about wordplay, and we're about humor and giggling. And so we decided to take a lyric out of our song. War at the Ice Cream Store has a song, and the chorus of the song is biff bambooza, yowza wowza wooza, and it goes on from there. But those words were so much fun that we would just take the words from the lyric and make it our new brand. And so we rebranded with biff bambooza. And our tagline is read, sing, and get your giggles on. And we thought that really encapsulated who we were and what we were trying to do. And I think this brand is very much about laughter, wordplay, learning things, but in a really subtle, fun way, not having the lesson thrown in your face, and then having music and sing-alongs and all the things that I think make the whole experience a little more than reading a book.
So are the songs listed separately?
The songs are all on the website. If you go to biffbambuza.com, there's 3 books right now, but like 3 in process right now. If you go click on any of the books on the website, below the book will be a sing-along song that goes with it, and different people singing each one, and they're original songs, but I think they're fun.
So you have one just being released. Tell us about it.
Oh, the prickly problem?
Uh-huh.
The prickly problem. These are my Southwestern roots coming out. I do.
Did you do the illustrations too?
Oh God, no. I wish if I could do this, I would
That's
just
not
be,
one of your forte.
I would be in heaven if I could do this. But anyway, this is my book. The first one I've done without Dave, and the ones coming up are without Dave. That doesn't mean that Dave isn't going to be there. We have one project still on the burner, but I've done most of the business end and the promoting and the creation of the website and all of that stuff. And Dave is really fun to write with, and we have a good sense of humor together, and we'll be doing more. But right now I just was on a roll, and he was working on some of his music, and I just kind of took the ball and went on. So The Prickly Problem is, I think, an adorable story about Dr. Pete the porcupine. He makes magic potions, and he solves all of the desert creatures' prickly problems until one day when he finds one that he just can't seem to lick. And I think another thing that's in this book and all of our books too is a theme of kindness that runs through all of them. So this story is about how he and his desert, I call them the rescue squad, make a house call to Cactus Jack, who's very grouchy. And they learn a little bit about what might make a person grouchy, and how to maybe see beyond the exterior of a prickly personality.
And I love it. They're fun.
Yeah.
Ones that really catch the little ones' attentions and get them excited.
I hope so. That's all I want to do.
I was going to say, what is your key motive in creating these books?
You know, I absolutely love watching a kid giggle and get some of the stuff. They don't get all of the stuff in the books, but even if they get part of it and the parents get some of it, because some of the humor, I think, goes over their heads, and then they grow up and learn into it a little bit. And, you know, I think a book that would maybe hopefully keep them coming back and giggle at night before they go to bed. I think like my best bonding experiences ever were around laughter with my parents or friends or whatever. And I think that's really what we're all about.
I agree. I had a thought and I lost it, but senior moment.
Yeah.
I have a lot of them lately.
Yeah.
Oh, now tell me a little bit about Katie Grace.
So Katie Grace, as I mentioned before, so Katie, it's Cheryl DaVeiga's inspiration. So it's capital C-A-D, Cheryl DaVeiga, and then a little I for inspiration. And Grace was my mom. And that's what I named the character after when I was explaining to you The Craziest Dream. Katie Grace has an album and her own YouTube station, and some of it is on the Biff Bambuza stuff too. But that was the name I gave to that character that we wrote the songs that were inspired by Michael that I talked about before.
Okay, so, and that was your like introduction to writing children's books?
That was my introduction to writing children's songs.
Songs.
Yeah.
So there's no book connected with her, just songs?
No, there's no Katie Grace book yet.
I was going to say, is that in the future?
You know, I have drafts around of that book from a long time ago. And I don't know, maybe. I'm working right now. I've got 3 in the hopper. I've got one that's completely done illustration. And then I've got one that I decided was going to be part of, it's kind of a series within a series. So it'll be a series within Biff Bambuza. But I decided that it needed a setup to it. So I wrote the prequel, and that is in illustration right now. And then a completely separate one that are coming right now. But this is the cover of what's coming up soon in the Ooey Gooey
Awesome. I love
series,
that.
chocolate space bunnies.
So you're getting into outer space now.
I have this new little character called Ooey Gooey Louie, and if you give him some chocolate, he'll tell some tall tales, and the kids all love him because he tells these ridiculous stories.
The thing I like about your writing is so many writers try to rhyme everything and they run out of words to rhyme, and so they kind of throw it in there and it sets the whole rhythm off.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, I'm a stickler for rhythm and rhyme, right?
yeah, exactly. And so with yours, you have a story you tell, and it's in smooth, continuous rhythm, and it doesn't break. It's really fun to go from beginning to end. And like you said, there's so much fun in it and craziness.
Thank you for saying that. I don't rhyme my books on purpose because there's a real constriction in writing a song, in having to make the meter and rhyme perfect. And, obviously that's the key to writing a good song. And I think in the books, still having the word play, and there are internal rhymes and alliterations, I think I'm able to have a little more fun and freedom with the writing than trying to, if I want to write another song, I'll write another song, but this allows me to be more free. And I thought about rhyming books, and I decided that's really not, I'll rhyme my songs.
I think that's a wise choice. I think it's chosen well. Okay, is there any further comments you'd like to make before we close?
No, I just am really grateful that you asked me to do this. Podcasts are kind of new to me, so I'm getting my feet wet a little bit. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I hope you can find everything I do on biffbambuza.com. Please stay tuned for the new stuff. I'm so excited about the new stuff.
Well, I'm excited too. And I'm excited to go look up your songs and listen to them.
Thank you very much.
Also, we have a giveaway. Can you tell us what you're giving away?
Yeah, so my giveaway are these 3 books, all 3.
Wow.
In a little package with a bow on it for whoever wins the giveaway.
That's
it's a Biff
wonderful.
Bambuza. It's Biff Bam and Booza.
That is going to be fantastic for some lucky US Canada winner. It's been a delight. I hope we can do this again in the future when you've got.
I hope so. When the next Chocolate Space Bunnies comes out, but that's kind of
that would be fantastic because I'm anxious to read it. So, it's been a total delight, and I wish you well. And we'll be posting your media on my blog site, rockinbookreviews.com, and also on my YouTube site. And I encourage everybody to go because they're fun books and your children will love them. My grandchildren love them. Oh, I was going to say, that you were talking earlier how some of these things are above children's head. Remember Disney's Aladdin that came out?
Yes, absolutely, right?
The teenagers and the adults loved it, but the little children didn't like it.
They loved it anyway. And then when they get a little older, some of that stuff, they're like, oh. That was actually one of my, something I aspired to doing, something more in those lines, because I do love books that kids and adults love together, You get tired after a while reading the same.
That's what I was going to say. Your book are like that. They're something that adults can find humor in along with their children.
Well, thank you for saying that, because that means we accomplished something.
Okay. And thank you all for joining us today. And we hope that you'll search the universe through books. Goodbye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.